Welcome to part number 2 of why women are obsessed with emotionally unavailable men. Now, if you haven't watched the first part, you absolutely need to. It has a ton of context that is going to be necessary for you to understand this video, so go watch it if you haven't. Quick overview of it, however, for those who are not going to go watch it, even though you should, and for those who have watched it, but it's been a while. The main point that I was trying to give you was that this idea of the emotionally unavailable man who doesn't give a shit, it's a bit of a myth. It doesn't really exist for a couple reasons. One, it's not as effective as you think it is. I know I've tried it and I've gotten success from it, but it's very mid-tier, right? If you don't know what that means, like if you're playing video games and there's certain strategies that you think are really good, but actually at the top competitive level, they're just kind of like, they're okay, but they're not actually the best. The same thing here. A lot of guys start to date women and they come from being a nice guy and a loser, and they go, oh wow, I'm getting all this success because I don't give a shit, da da da. Well, first of all, a lot of it is just an act and you don't actually believe it, but that's another thing altogether. But it creates a hostile environment. It creates an environment where girls are just as much likely to like you because of your I don't give a fuck attitude, and they're just as likely to reject you because of it. If you had been more sincere and nice, they actually would be into you. It's also about your demographics. If you're hanging around people who react to that kind of thing, you're generally going to get positive receptions. But even then, even in those cutthroat, shitty environments where girls are very hypergamous and, monkey branching and blah, 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 which certain areas that you hang out with, like if you go into like club culture, yeah, you're going to find a lot of that. But even then, even in those circles, a guy who just has a lot of game and he's very sincere and he can be emotionally unavailable when necessary, right? Which we'll get into in this video. And he knows how to create a balance of interest, right? But that's just him playing game. Whereas the guy who's like, you just have to always be emotionally unavailable is coming from a very extreme caricature framework. Now, maybe some of these guys on YouTube who give this advice aren't so dogmatic about it and they actually do know how to be nice and charismatic when things are going well. They're just bad at explaining things and they view themselves from that worldview of like, yeah, I don't give a fuck, I'm a pimp daddy. But still, they're doing a bad job of teaching you, even if they don't necessarily follow it all the time. I heard about one, I have a friend who's very in the pickup field and works with a different dating coach. And he met someone who's like very famous, in this industry. And he was like, he's nothing like what he teaches. It's like, he's like, what he does is actually pretty good, but the way he teaches is completely different. So, I was actually pleasantly surprised, but the way he teaches is kind of wrong. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess good for him that he's good, but, guys aren't wanting to suck his dick because he's good with girls. They want to learn how to get their dick sucked by listening to his advice. So when you're going to guys for advice, you have to go to someone who has the skills, but also has the ability to explain it to you in a way that fucking makes sense and is real and is going to be applicable by you, not just some cool motivational, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Because that's very attractive to men who have been hurt and who want to not feel that way again. So then they put up this wall. But the problem with the wall is it's just as likely to keep out your allies as it is your enemies, right? So that was another reason why it was bad, but also because it's just a belief system, and belief systems are very fickle, and they tend to go with the wind. I know because I've been in that. Oh, I don't, something bad happens to the girl. I'm like, all right, I'm on my pimp shit. I just had a guy who I've known for a while. He just got cheated on, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go back on my savage shit and did it. Like typical. I've been there, dude, and I'm like, no, you just got to learn game, brother. Like your problem isn't. You can have these worldviews and these vibes, like, yeah, I'm on my pimp shit, and it can initially get you some momentum, but it's a belief system. And belief systems, like I said, are very fickle, so you're going to be believing it until you encounter something that challenges it, and then your belief is going to crumble, or at least, phase out for a little bit. Or you're going to get more information, and it's going to adapt because you're going to realize that it's an incomplete belief system, right? So we're not going to be working off belief systems here. We're going to be working off knowledge systems. We're going to be working off of, I know what to do in each scenario, right? Which is something I went over in the first video also. I know how to handle girls in this situation, in this situation. Like in this situation, you should be a little bit more like savage and pimp daddy and kind of like aloof because the situation calls for it, right? You're not putting on an act. You're just showing a part of your personality that you just have to bring out for the occasion. But for whatever reason, the way she's acting, she's kind of acting silly. She's starting to, lose attention, lose interest. She maybe is losing respect for you. You can tell that she's not as invested as she was. Okay, I got to pull back. And then that'll get her to reinvest, right? But if she's like fully investing and totally into it, then for what reason would you put up this act? I mean, it also, not only can it keep out girls who like you, but it can initially attract girls. But then if you do it too much to the extreme, they'll be like, okay, I like the fact that he doesn't give a fuck, but then it's like radioactivity. It'll reach this breaking point, and then it'll just like, the isotope will explode, and you'll get a nuclear reaction, but it'll blow up her attraction for you. And she'll go from like being really interested because you don't give a fuck, and then she's like, okay, he really doesn't give a fuck. Why am I even talking to this guy? Right, so there's all these flaws with this approach. So I'm going to teach you what is the real way to make girls obsess over you by being emotionally unavailable, but a more sophisticated understanding of what that actually fucking means, because I'm not a fucking jabroni, okay? And I'm actually going to teach you something that is consistent, right? So let's go over a few of the ideas that guys will give to you. And I kind of started going to it at the end of the last video, but now this is where I go into real detail. So a few of the systems that guys will suggest will get you this emotional unavailability that makes women obsess over you. So we've covered why emotional unavailability is not quite what we're talking about. And then we're going to go over what I actually think you should be, and then the way you get there. So what you should actually try to be is emotionally disciplined when the situation calls for it. That's the first part. There's two parts. And that's what I just went over. If she's acting this way, you got to do this. If she's acting this way, you got to do this. It's just about creating a balance of interest. It's not being emotionally unavailable. That's too dramatic of a fucking idea. Like, it's very simple. When she's giving you good shit, give her good shit. When she's giving you bad shit, don't give her good stuff, because you have to discipline her in a way. I mean, some of you might be like, okay, what are we, training dogs here? No, I mean, she's still a fucking adult human being who can make her own choices, right? We're not Jedis. Like, ooh, you're being a bitch, so I'm going to be an asshole, and I'm going to set things in balance. No, it's not like that. It's just, setting boundaries, right? Or enforcing boundaries to a certain extent. Or following, it could be as simple as following topics of conversation that are good, that she wants to talk about, and avoiding ones that are boring, that she doesn't want to talk about, because if you talk about something someone doesn't want to talk about, that's not seduction, right? We're still trying to seduce her, okay? So I want you to think of this cooperatively as much as possible, but there is a certain level of loving conflict, right? That's just the nature of male and female dynamics. If you can't see that, then you're not paying attention, right? So there's a large aspect of cooperative play, but there is some like competitive play where she does kind of want to wrestle with you, but she wants you to win. She's kind of hoping you win, actually, so that you be dominant, but not like authoritarian, Nazi seduction, right? So emotional discipline when there's trouble in the seduction or even in the relationship, like, your girlfriend or your wife is, she's being rude, or she's being sassy, or this and that. There's a lot of different ways guys will respond to that. Some will be kind of needy, like, oh, I hope she stops being mad at me, or, you could feel that way. Genuinely, you probably would feel that way about someone that you love and care about, but, if it's taken too far, then you're going to come off wimpy, and she's going to, kind of stump all over you, and that's not a good thing. But you'll be motivated, but yeah, I don't want my wife to be mad at me, of course. That's a very simple thing to believe. Or you might get angry in response and it starts a fight. Well, that's not also, there's two extremes. Like, okay, the wife puts me in the doghouse kind of mentality, right? Which, all the sitcoms where the mother, is a tyrant over the dopey, doopy, Dumbo father, and he's like, okay, I fucked up, I'm wrong, Everybody Loves Raymond syndrome, if you've ever seen that show. Pretty much any sitcom. What's that one that's really famous? Sofia Vergara. I forgot the fucking name, right? And the main dad is just a fucking doofus, and the mom is kind of really strong, and he's always a fucking doofus, and always is shown to be a doofus, and no one really respects him. I think his name is Phil. And so you don't want to be the extreme of like, oh, I'm in the doghouse, but then you don't want to be in the extreme of like, get in place, bitch. Know your fucking lane and get in the kitchen, right? Which you can sometimes get close to these, edges. Sometimes you do actually want to be really nice and kind of sweet, depending on the scenario, right? But you got to know when to do what in which situation, which requires discipline, first of all, because you'll be feeling one of these things, right? But you're going to discipline yourself. You're going to hold tight and be like, okay, I shouldn't act this way because it's not effective. All it's doing is expressing emotions. But we should only express emotions when absolutely necessary and when it's effective, right? Otherwise, we're just fucking venting steam, right? We have to be stronger than that. So emotional discipline when the situation calls for it. And then at the same time, the idea of emotional indifference is kind of silly because passion is very attractive. I know this because I'm an extremely passionate guy. And I've had girls like, not just tell me it like, oh, just giving me lip service, but like, they suck my dick and fuck me. Like they're clearly very into me and they like that I'm passionate, right? Was I passionate the whole time? Did I not have moments of like, I can be kind of stoic and kind of calm and kind of detached depending on the situation and my mood? Yeah, sure. But the reason why emotional indifference can be so attractive is because when you're very passionate and then you move to a more stoic, detached state, she knows what the reward of getting you back to this state is. And she fucked up somewhere to bring you here. So you've pulled back, right? And then she wants to get you back to this. So she's going to work hard for it and she's going to invest in it. And it's not like we're manipulating her in the sense that we're creating this false, fake, up and down dopamine ride of like pleasure and punishment, pleasure and punishment. What it is like she genuinely did something wrong to annoy us, piss us off, disrespect us, etc., whatever. And then we come here and she needs to do some work to get us back here. Just like when we do something wrong and we can tell she's upset, we need to do something to rectify the situation, right? Whether, explaining yourself, you didn't mean to say it that way, apologizing genuinely if you unintentionally hurt, a girl's feelings that you care about or love, but you still need that excitement. So this idea of emotional, what is it called? What the fuck? Emotional unavailability is too simple fucking monkey brain. Like you have to understand that there's a polarity here. So we want to be excited for girls. We want to be interested in girls. We want to be, ravenous and very into her, right? I mean, just think of this archetype of the unemotional guy who's like, yeah, okay, suck my dick. That can be cool sometimes, like just that very like, yeah, get on your knees and suck this dick. And you're kind of just like, whatever about it. That can actually be really, really hot, especially when you're having sex. But there is also a time to be passionate and ravenous, right? And every man has different wavelengths as he operates on that. But every man needs to be on both wavelengths at a certain point and be able to like kind of change between like being very passionate and very detached and very passionate and detaching. Maybe sometimes in the middle, maybe sometimes more in this direction, maybe 75% in this direction. Right? So again, I'm really, really trying to get you away from this like black and white thinking of like, you're this or you're this. There's a whole fucking range here depending on what you need to give. But we need to realize that we are going to be excited at some point. However, the trick is we know deep down that it's really not all that. I mean, pussy's amazing, right? And some girls are fucking so sexy and they just, drive you crazy. But it's not all that. And the reason it's not all that, you can get there a lot of different ways, and guys will think that you can get there with some cheat codes, which we'll go after, like the typical stuff that, the advice that they give. But it's not as good as just straight up game, just straight up knowledge, right? Just the actual knowledge that she's not all that and that she could be replaced and that you can get a girl just as good as her, a 10 out of 10 who's a brunette or a blonde or a redhead, but also really cool and, educated or interesting to talk to, or maybe you don't care about that, just really submissive, and who knows, right? Whatever the fuck, get your dick hard. Nothing beats just straight up having game, okay? So these ideas that guys will prescribe to you on YouTube videos, like this is the solution, right? Chasing after your dreams and your journey, you're on your grind, you're on your mission, and she knows deep down that she's number 2 on your mission. That can help. I'm not saying it's ineffective, right? It is actually very effective. But if in and of itself it was sufficient to make girls obsess over you, you wouldn't have situations like, go look up on YouTube, Jeff Bezos' girlfriend, Leonardo DiCaprio. something like that. And you see Jeff Bezos with his girlfriend, and Leonardo DiCaprio comes up and he's smiling, and his girlfriend's like basically like opening her mouth to like gorge on his dick, like and you might think, oh, it didn't really mean much, da da da. No, it affected the situation so much. Jeff Bezos posted something on Instagram, like jokingly threatening Leonardo DiCaprio, like it was that obvious of a thirst situation. And Leonardo DiCaprio's like, whatever, it just, girl's probably not even hot enough for him, right? He doesn't date girls over 25. So Jeff Bezos, I mean, how fucking on your grind, on your mission do you want to fucking be, right? And that's respectable in its own right, and good for him for having all that success. This isn't a business critique. This is a game critique, right? And which makes sense because he's only been focused on business, right? So he doesn't have game. So what's kind of funny is, guys are like, yeah, you just need to go on your mission and girls are going to come after you. Yeah, girls are going to come after you when you're successful. Some of them gold diggers, some of them not. I mean, girls are just interested in success. They're not all gold diggers. They just like guys who have success because those are very attractive qualities in a man, right? The Gucci bags and everything are just an extra plus, but like, hey, he's hot. He's not just some fucking loser working at Pizza Hut, right? But sometimes a guy at Pizza Hut can fuck the girlfriend of a guy at Jeff Bezos. It is possible. I remember seeing like some famous football star got cucked by some dude from like the chick's like hometown. He was just he was some lumberjack or something, right? And he fucked the either girlfriend or the wife of some famous soccer star. Not I'm talking about football in the global context, though American football is the real football because, USA. So, I don't know what this was. This was supposed to be like this, and then it was this, and then, whatever. Fucking cringe. USA number 1. So, if being successful was good enough in and of itself, you wouldn't even need to learn game. But that's clearly not the fucking case. There are rich, successful men who grind their asses off and they're on their mission who get fucking cheated on and cucked all the time. I'm not advocating this, right? I'm actually very against sleeping with girls who have boyfriends or husbands. I mean, that kind of karma is very, very bad, and, I wouldn't do it. I've done it in the past, and, it was a mistake, and someday I'll have to pay for that karma, right? But I highly don't advise it. But it's just a demonstration of if being on your grind was enough to make women obsess over you, you wouldn't need game. But clearly you do need game because guys who are very successful get cheated on or lose girls all the fucking time. Okay? So you have to have game. Being on your mission is not enough. It can help, but you need game. I'm the prize. Well, most of the time, you're not the fucking prize. Okay? For the most part, I do get guys who come to me in coaching and this and that, who are very successful with girls. They just want to be even more successful. But they are the minority. Like, let's say 10% of my clients are like pretty, well, let's say 20% of my clients are pretty decent with girls. They just want to be really good. And I've met a few who are like really successful, right? But they still want to just go to the next level. But they're the minority. Most of the guys watching this channel are probably very meh with girls or not good at all, right? So for you to think that you're the prize, I mean, that's a fucking joke, right? So when I go on certain red pill channels and I just see guys like, yeah, you're telling the truth, I'm the prize, these bitches need to chase after me. I'm like, dude, you're probably a nice guy, right? This is the whole like, you're a nice guy, but it's honestly true. Like, you're a nice guy, but you're not that guy. You're probably not that guy. Like, what about you is the fucking prize? That you have a dick, right? You sound just as fucking stupid as the girls who go on, I'm on my self-love, journey. I'm in that, bad bitch slay girl phase of my life. And she like posts a video with her going, he's going to regret the day he broke up with me. And, I'm going to have fun and I'm going to live my life and I'm the prize and I'm going to embrace my inner goddess. Like, dude, you sound just like those girls. And actually, I think it's more pathetic because you're a dude. Like, I can actually somewhat forgive the girls for falling for that gimpy woo-woo bullshit because they're chicks, right? But you're a dude. Like, I expect a little bit more of you since we're more practical thinkers, right? Jesus Christ, man. Like, stop sucking your own dick until your dick is big enough that you barely have to, like, lean over to suck it, right? You can suck your own dick once your dick's up here. Meaning, metaphorically, you can start thinking you're the own prize, right? And getting your own head up your own ass when you're so fucking awesome that that's just going to come very easily and naturally, right? So stop trying to convince yourself you're the prize, because once you are pretty much the prize, it's not going to take a lot of convincing, right? You'll get to a certain point where you'll be so humble and so self-improvement oriented in terms of game, not just like getting fitness and money, but like game, the knowledge of women and seduction and psychology and your own psychology. You'll be so advanced with that shit, but you'll still be so humble that you'll be like, okay, is it time to really think I'm the shit? And then at some point you're gonna be like, okay, well, I have enough evidence to pretty confidently assess that I am the shit. Therefore, I declare myself to be the shit. It's just going to be a natural, logical conclusion that comes to you, right? So, are you the prize? No, you're not some fucking basic bitch on Instagram talking about, how you're a savage and you're on your savage shit and, the world better watch out, I'm coming. Fuck you. Like, who gives a shit, dude? Like, just go get fucking good. Stop fucking whining about it. Just get good, right? So, are you the prize? No, you're probably not, because if you were, you probably wouldn't need to watch this goddamn video. Okay, what's this other one? Oh, I have some notes over here. She's not yours, it's just your turn. What's funny is guys will like go for the I'm the prize. I actually credit Chase for this. He wrote an article kind of talking about this. You have the red pill guys who are like, oh, I'm the prize. Then they have this mentality of like, oh, she's not yours, it's just your turn. And he pointed out, he's like, these are such a fucking conflict. Like, why are you even worrying about the fact that she isn't yours, it's just your turn, when you are seeing yourself as the prize? Inherently, that framework, that viewpoint is very anti-I'm the prize. Because Chase was like, I'm not hers, it's just her turn. That's how you should be thinking of it. Not, she's not yours, it's just your turn, and, jerking yourself off, crying in your limpy fucking dick and barely squeaking out a little bit of cum because you're so fucking, beta cuck bullshit because you're like, oh, she's not mine, she's not really mine. Oh. Like, it's pretty fucking pathetic to even be thinking that way in the first place, right? It's normal. I've been there. I've been on the ground crying like a little fucking bitch because some girl didn't like me, okay? I've been there. Totally get it, but it's pathetic. I had to move past it, but it was pathetic, right? So this idea of focusing on whether she's yours or not, fuck you. Like, if you want to be the prize, you can't start from that viewpoint. You need to be going from the viewpoint that I'm not hers, it's just her turn, which, kind of is that way, right? One of you is either going to break up with the other or die. And then at that point, you guys are going to move on into your next life, and, the chances of you meeting again and being together again, you guys have to have a really strong karmic connection for that to even happen, right? So for the most part, most girls you're going to be meeting, it is their turn just for like a little while, even if a little while is, 50 years, right? If you're fortunate, right? So, these mentalities that these guys are trying to tell you, they're just as cookie cutter, $2 magazine that you read in the doctor's office waiting room level of like wisdom as the bullshit that girls listen to. I'm the prize, I'm a bad bitch, I'm a 10. Every girl says I'm a 10 out of 10. That's the same shit. I'm the prize, I'm the dude, I'm on my mission. You're just doing the same thing, okay? So, what's the real solution? Like I said, it's just game, motherfucker. It's actually so simple, but none of you want to do the work, right? I know that I can get a girl that is just as hot as her, or beautiful, right? Maybe a different type, right? You got your like petite Ariana Grande Latina kind of looking girls. You got your like big busty blonde kind of girls. You got your like big booty blonde, Dutch kind of girls, or like Eastern European, that kind of look, or Scandinavian look. I don't know what the fuck you're into. Asian girls, right? Chinese, Korean, Thai, I don't know the fuck, whatever you like, dude. But like there's always going to be a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, right? I think you can only get to a 9, right? Your personality brings you to a 10. So your best 9 out of 10 in different cultures and different looks, but they're like pretty equivalent. You just might be in a different mood for, one day you want to eat Chinese, one day you want to eat a steak, right? Same thing with your taste in women. I can get a girl that is of this relative like attractiveness at some point if I put enough work, because I've proven I can do it. and I know I can, and I know you are replaceable. I mean, you're still a human being and I respect you, but like at the end of the day, in a relationship, you're serving a certain purpose, just like I'm serving a purpose to her, right? There is some objectification in there, but that's how it always works to a certain extent. Unless you are totally devoid of ego, which none of you are, right? You're gonna have self-interest involved in your desire for her, and vice versa. She's gonna have a lot of self-interest involved in her desire for you. That's because that's how desire works. It's something you want and something she wants, right? So you can replace that level, not only of looks, but also personality, right? Because that's also very important, right? Is she actually a good person? I mean, you can find girls who are hot, but pieces of shit, right? Is she a good person? Does she have virtue? Will she stick around? Will she lie to you, deceive you, cheat on you, blah, blah, blah. But then even more than that, finding someone who's compatible, right? You can find someone that's hot on paper and would be a great girlfriend on paper, but you just don't fucking work with her because, she just doesn't vibe with your vibe, right? She's too similar. She could be too similar to you or too different, right? So you need to know that you can replace her. No, not believe, no. So when you're doing things like I'm the prize, da-da-da, those are belief systems. Those are you have to maintain and manage and give maintenance to these belief systems. A knowledge system is just, yeah, I know that, it might take me a little while, right? Because I'll have to approach enough girls and go through enough rejections and kind of, get rid of the rust, especially if you've been in a relationship with a girl for how many years, right? I know it's going to take some time, but I can replace her. Why? Because I've gotten girls just as hot as her before. Girls who were just as smart as her, just as cool as her, just as hot as her, just as fat of an ass, and big old tiggle bitties, and like whatever the fuck it is you're into, right? DSLs, dick sucking lips, for those of you who don't speak Ebonics, right? So you gotta find this knowledge. But the only way to find knowledge is to cultivate it and create it. Whereas belief systems, you can just like constantly remind yourself, I'm the prize, motivational mantra, fuck you. Go actually get the knowledge. The only way you get the knowledge is the results, right? So what we call this is called absolute abundance. It's a term that Chase actually coined, so again, credit to him, right? So you have abundance mentality, which is, I know I can go out and get girls with enough work, right? Because I've proven it. Absolute abundance is like the next level that he prescribed is like, I know I can go out to get girls who are my girlfriend quality, my 10 out of 10s, because if you're going to date a girl or marry a girl, she should be like your ideal type, right? That type might change over time, right? But like at the time she was like, that's really, really smoking hot to me, right? And you should go until you really feel like you can't go anymore. I mean, at some point, girls don't get hotter. They just get different kinds of hot. So you have to reach that. Well, to reach that, you have to be able to get with enough girls who are like, damn, she's smoking hot. Like, maybe I can find a girl who has a better ass, but maybe she doesn't have as nice of lips or this, like, you're never going to find a perfect girl, right? So you got to do a lot of work, right? But it's a lot easier to think that you can YouTube your way into this, right? And guys are just as attracted to it as girls are attracted to, woo-woo, believe it, believe your inner goddess, and that'll attract the masculine energy that you want into your life. Again, fuck you, dude. Like, you gotta create that within yourself, okay? And it's not gonna come... It might come initially from a YouTube video, like in this one, but the end result is going to come from your work. I'm just here to, like, you go in this direction, nope, course correct. You start going here, nope, course correct, right? You go here, oh, nope, stay on track, right? But you're the one doing the walking. I'm just keeping you, and I'm like, hey, you got a road bump like three streets ahead. Okay, cool. So I slow down so I don't fucking, break your car when you go over it. Right? I'm giving you advice as you're walking your journey. And that's critical because if you don't have the advice, you're going to go here for the rest of your life. And then, you might spend multiple lifetimes just being a total fucking idiot with women. But at least, in this life, if you start getting on the right fucking direction, then hey, great. You don't have to be a simp anymore or a cock. Or, alternatively, a guy who thinks he's like pimp daddy, I don't care about women. But dude, the only reason you're creating that belief system of like, I'm emotionally unavailable to women is because you have been hurt by them. So, you know, those girls who are like, who hurt you? Like, I know it's really annoying to read that and you feel like it's just a broken talking point, but it has merit. Like, you're clearly coming from a place of hurt for you to be talking so toxically about women. Women are cute and silly, bro. Like, why are you so fucking dramatic about it? Right? I know it can feel very dramatic in the moment and really hurt when you get cheated on, betrayed, lied to, or just, you know, it didn't end up working with some girl you really thought it was going to work out with, right? But the only way you're talking like that is because you're coming from a place of pain. Like clients of mine who like mess up with the girl and they're like, yeah, you know, she wasn't even that hot anyways. I'm like, fuck you. Shut the fuck up. If she wasn't hot enough, you wouldn't have gone after her. If she's hot enough for you to go after her, then she's just, you know, then you're upset about it because you craved it, right? Even if she's a 6 and you just wanted to smash, you still wanted it. So stop acting like you did it, okay? And the only time I would kind of have that mindset is like I'm telling a guy he needs to raise his standards because he's chronically going after girls who are just not his ideal type or close to it. But so what I'm trying to sell you is not emotional unavailability. I'm trying to sell you emotional discipline, which you're only going to learn from talking to a lot of girls and dating a lot of girls and sleeping with a lot of girls and making them girlfriends or making them want to be your girlfriend. So you go, okay, I seduced her enough that she wanted to be my girlfriend, but for whatever X reason, I'm not going to actually go through with it. But hey, she actually wanted to be mine. And once you have these girls who are like gorgeous, they're like, you know, wanting to be your girlfriend, whether it's like straight up asking you or like playing games where she's trying to rope you into a relationship, you know, like, okay, she wanted me. Like, I did a good enough job. And then if you do want to date her, you get into a relationship with her. And then after, you always know, I've dated a girl that hot. Cool. I have that knowledge, right? And through all of that fucking trial and error, and hopefully you're saving yourself a lot of error by like paying attention to someone who knows what they're talking about, aka this channel, and getting advice from me, you can move a little bit quicker to knowing when to be emotionally disciplined and, in this case, be passionate. In this case, be kind of detached and emotionally unavailable. In this case, be somewhere in the middle, and somewhere over here, and somewhere over here. Because your balancing of the interest game, the dance of like her showing interest, you showing interest, you kind of playing aloof, her playing aloof, is going to shift and change depending on the context. If a girl is like totally about you, the entire seduction, there's almost no point where you should be emotionally indifferent. Except for sex. Sometimes when you're in sex and you're kind of just like psychopathically fucking the shit out of her and you just have this like face like you're just a fucking tool for me to use for pleasure, like that can really turn girls on. Like sometimes I'll be like super passionate, oh I love you baby, and sometimes I'm just like staring her in the eyes and be like, you're a little fuck meat for me, and she's just like, oh, just fucking gets so fucking turned on by that shit, and she's like, oh baby give me love, right? Because she's craving that. But that's a very niche situation once you're already having sex with her. Or when she is playing games or kind of being aloof or isn't quite sold on you, then there are moments when you have to pull back. That's emotional discipline. But then underlying that emotional discipline is the fact that you still want her, so you're excited for her, right? I want you to be passionate for girls. You're never going to get to this point of absolute abundance unless you really like girls, okay? And a lot of guys, interestingly enough, who I think are in this field, don't actually love girls all that much. I mean, I'm sure they're attracted to girls, but they don't have that love. They don't have that passion, the same kind of passion that like a professional poker player just loves poker. I'm saying that because I have a client who's a professional poker player, and I was actually talking about this subject with him just yesterday. Like, I was like, dude, you have this love for poker, right? If you don't have this love for women, you're always going to be gimped. You're never going to get to that highest level. So you need to find that within yourself or cultivate it in some way, right? Which is a totally different video. You have to really, truly enjoy women, right? Not only their bodies, but their voice and the way they move and the way they look at you and the way they think differently than the masculine mind. I mean, you need to be interested in it because you're never going to get to the highest level unless you are motivated, right? You can't fake your way to this. You can't motivate. You can motivational video to like keep you going a little bit when you're getting down. But the thing that's going to be driving you is passion and excitement. Okay, but then that passion and excitement and the emotional discipline will lead you eventually to the point where you know she's hot, she's sexy, her pussy's fucking heroin, this and that, you know, nice ass, nice lips. I love when you're choking on my dick. All that's great, but it's not all that. I know because I've tasted it. I've tasted so many different kinds of pussies and different levels of pussy. Sometimes a 7 was a better fuck than an 8 or a 9, right? Sometimes just, you know, you have this great experience with this girl and this not great experience with this girl, but why? Why was it? What was the conditions? What were the contexts, specifics, nuance, personal details? This girl in this instance because of this thing. But the problem is guys give this advice or it's just like, just be emotionally unavailable. And that's the solution to everything. No, you're mid-tier, bro. Mid-tier, okay? But I want to teach you the high-tier shit. I want to teach you the S-tier strategies, but they're hard to pull off because they sometimes require you to incorporate things from your like beta bitch past, right? But you're isolating parts from that version of you that actually were useful, but you left it behind, right? And then you're reintegrating that stuff into this your badass stuff because there's impurities in this like emotionally unavailable badass phase. And so you use these things to like counteract these chemicals, and then it creates a solution and purifies it, and then you have an even purified form of game, of expressing yourself and talking to girls and etc. Right? So the highest level of emotional unavailability, right, to just tie it all together, it's not quite emotional unavailability. It's emotional detachment when the situation calls for it, because you have the emotional discipline to express that side of yourself because you know it's the right game strategy for the moment because of the way she's acting in the context. It's what she needs to see, what she needs to feel. And you're driven to that point of knowledge and ability and emotional discipline because you love women and you're really attracted to them and you want to get good with them. But then you've gotten to the point where she's not all that, so I'm not really that desperate for it. I'm interested in it, so don't pretend you don't care about girls, because if you're going after girls, you care about them. Right? And you're honest about yourself with that. Like, yeah, I really like her and I want this to work out with her. Right? But right now I have to play this role a little bit. I'm not faking it. This is within me, but I'm playing this role a little bit because it's the necessary thing to do. It is the chess move that I have to make because I'm the leader of the seduction for the most part. She plays a role in it cooperatively and sometimes competitively, but I'm leading the dance. And so it's my job to move us. I step this way when we need to step this way, and she'll step with me because I'm moving in the direction that we need to go. Where other guys are going to step in this direction because they're driven by belief systems. You're driven by knowledge systems because you've gained the knowledge because you've done so many dances and stepped on so many feet and danced to so many different songs with different kinds of partners. So you've learned so many different ways of dancing and so many different dance styles. But now you just know how to dance. At the end of the day, dancing is just moving your fucking body to different rhythms and different beats. Okay? So you have a knowledge system created by experience. It's success. You can have a lot of experience, but if you don't have success, you're clearly not knowledgeable, or else you would be succeeding. So yeah, it's not emotional unavailability. It's everything that I just talked about. It's not so simple, but that doesn't make a great YouTube video, except for this one. This one's a good one. So just get good, bro. I mean, yeah, but with all those details, right? So if you want to get good, you got to start paying attention to my videos. Paying attention. Do you see the way I'm so nuanced and oh my God, my lips are chapped. Holy shit. Pay attention to the way I think and the way I break things down. You got to kind of think like that. Right? And if you're not willing to think like that, you don't have to be so intellectual about it. You can use your own type of thinking, but you have to be this detailed about it. Right? And so just get to studying and get to practicing, get to approaching. Right? If you're not approaching, stop watching videos. You're wasting your time. But if you are approaching and getting experience, then you should be watching a lot of videos. The more work you're doing, the more knowledge you're going to need. And there should be certain points when you shouldn't listen to anyone and just get your own experience. Then, after a certain amount of time, come back to someone who you trust, like me. I mean, I'm the best out there because I haven't seen anyone who's talking on the same level I am except for Chase. Right, that's why I work with him, because I respect his perspective. Everyone else is just kind of mid-tier. So, start studying, but also start grinding. You need both. Okay, now if you're looking for like specific parts of the courtship, right, there's different parts, right? You got to learn how to approach girls. You got to learn how to get them, ask them out. You got to learn how to text them, how to go on a date. Like there's different stages in the courtship, right? And all my videos cover different points in the courtship, and you're going to need to know pretty much all of them to reach this level of absolute abundance. Okay. Right now, I only have courses on the meeting them phase, the texting them phase, and then I do have a social circle book, my King of College book. But I still need to finish writing that. There might be a link in the description. It might be done by the time you actually watch this video. I'm rewriting it. But right now, my Meet Girls Everywhere course is available. So it teaches you how to meet girls everywhere, right? So you start getting that experience. You can meet girls anywhere you want, at the coffee shop, at the mall, at the grocery store, just walking home from work, whatever, right? Walking around the park. It's called Meet Girls Everywhere for a fucking reason, okay? So it just gets you that funnel of like those beautiful girls that you pass by every day of your life, and why the fuck do you not go approach them? I mean, there she is, right? But you're waiting till Friday, Saturday night to go to the club and da-da-da. No, fuck you, dude. Like, you can go out and get it any day you want. So you should get my course, Meet Girls Everywhere. It's in the description below. And then you should also get my texting book, because you're going to need both, honestly, right? Because after you get her number and ask her out and get her number, right, you're going to have to set up the date. Guys fuck up on the texting stage a lot. Right, that's one of the biggest weaknesses that guys seem to neglect, is their texting. And I neglected it for a long time, even when I was like really pretty decent with girls. But I didn't quite figure out texting. Then I was like, all right, I got to figure out texting. So I was just like trying everything, testing everything. And so I have a book that just covers pretty much fucking everything. It's also in the description below. It's called What She Really Means, the Basics and Not So Basics of Texting Girls. I'm very direct. I don't hide behind fancy titles. Meet Girls Everywhere and What She Really Means When She's Texting You, and how to text her, and the basics and the not so basics. So I would suggest grabbing both below. If you're interested in the other stages of seduction and just learning everything, then I would suggest coaching. Coaching. Nothing will beat personal coaching, because I am sitting down with you and getting to know your context, your history, your personality, and how to seduce like you would. Not me, how you. And I've taught so many different students with totally different personalities than mine, sometimes similar, and I've made them better because I can extract out of you what's good in you, smother what's not good in you, right? Or polish it off, like sand it off or improve it. And then now you have your personality, and then how to actually understand girls given your personality in different contexts. Hey, I went on this date with this girl. She said this, da-da-da. Okay, cool. Well, tell me about this. Give me this situation. Why did you respond this way? You should have responded this way. I'm sitting down with you and working like I am holding your dick and walking with you like, go in this direction, motherfucker. Okay? So personal coaching has an advantage over everything, right? It is a little bit more pricey. Maybe not as expensive as you think it is. When I say it's expensive, you might think, holy shit. Or it might be more expensive than you think it is, right? But we have to figure out which level is going to be right for you. Like, we can work together for a short amount of time or a long amount of time, and that'll change the price, obviously. But I suggest going the longer, the better, because if you're going to be paying a lot of money, you should pay a little bit more to get the best bang for your buck and have the biggest growth possible. So the only way we're going to get to know that is if you go in the description below and you go to the link. It should say something like pre-sell Hector or something. It'll just say coaching. Sign up on the sheet, give your name and your phone number and your email, and I'll get in contact with you and we'll do a consultation call. I used to say it was 10 minutes, but at this point it goes usually a bit longer. So we'll talk as long as we need to figure out if coaching is right for you and which program is right for you. But that's the absolute best way you can improve as fast as possible and start getting in the direction of this abundance, absolute abundance that I was talking about. So anyways, yeah, long ass video, 43 minutes. I've talked your ear off enough. Go do whatever you're going to do for the rest of the day. Go talk to girls, ideally, if you can. If not, go jerk off in the dark because you don't have any girls. I don't know. Fuck off. I love you. Hector Castillo, girlschase.com. Typical YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell. But if people really liked your content, you didn't need to ask. They would just like it and follow you anyways. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's true. And maybe I shouldn't be desperate and ask for your subscription and your liking. But I did. Because I'm needy and desperate for your love. Okay. Anyways, bye guys.